Sunglasses forgotten, still atop his head. Crane shaded his eyes from the sun and looked up into the great oak. How had he ever climbed so high? He caressed the smooth trunk's criss-crossed lines and dried exterior, not much different from his own wrinkled hands. He wished Sally was still alive to be here with him. Loss of white blood cells had got her in the end. Crane had dreamed of them both becoming rich together, then getting fat and old in a house they'd built themselves. Crane laughed as he remembered the nights they had spent together with wine in one hand and a sketch pad in the other. The house would have been a monstrosity in its size and haphazard structure. Crane kicked softly at the base of the trunk. As soon as they had turned 18, they left their hometown and explored the world. From climbing crystallized caves and skiing on forgotten mountains, to eating insects cooked on a stick and devouring a chicken parmigiano in Australia, so oily you could drown in it. Then organs had grown lumps and her body had wanted to turn back into dust. Crane reached up to the first branch and tried to pull himself up. He only got a foot off the ground and was sure he would not get much further. Then someone called out to him, "The tree's protected, you know." Crane turned. It was not an official. The young woman was smiling. "Sally?" She held up a letter in her hand, brown and stained, torn at the edges. This time Crane said out loud what he had thought. "Sally? It can't be you." Yet no matter how it could be true, he wanted it badly to be so. She walked toward him, her floral dress dancing in the soft breeze, her hair short and brown the way a boy might wear it. She held up the letter and waved to him with it. Sandaled feet, as was her norm, and not a speck of mud or dirt. Lily-white feet. He always wondered how she had been able to perform such a feat. The last time he had seen her was when he had waved to her at the train station. She had not been standing then, instead in a wheelchair, her hair gone and her skin more pale than ever. She had waved to him then as well, the letter he had written to her in her hand also. He had told her to open it once the surgery was over. The doctors had said she would be okay. He had later never asked of her family if she had died before reading it. The entire family had not spoken another word to him, even at the funeral. Dust had protected him from showing her his tears as they had waved on the train platform. He had wanted to be strong for her, give her the reassurance she needed and tell her the surgery was a good thing. Yet he had barely been able to tell her goodbye. Midday now, in the height of summer, Crane's face burned with hot emotion. She would be able to see his tears clearly, rolling down his cheeks, his throat burning and his heart beating harder than when they had walked through the Blue Mountains in New South Wales, or that time when they had experimented with a passionate kiss. Crane wondered if maybe they might have experimented more, but time had taken that possibility away. They were friends, and then she was gone. She walked up to him, only a breath away. She opened his letter. Crane wiped at his face with both hands, smudging his tears, but keeping his eyes on Sally in case she suddenly flew away. "Read it to me," she said. Crane did not ask why and did not dispute that she was actually there in front of him. There once was a coconut named Sally. She had no burning ambition to be under submission and marry. Instead a want to fly and spin with parents akin, to perform ballet to all who ignored her torn skin, and finally change her name to Colin. Crane scratched his head. It was funnier when I wrote it 30 years ago. He looked up. She was not there anymore. The letter fluttered in his white-knuckled hands, gripping it so hard it could have disintegrated. He turned all around, but she had gone. He had imagined her. Dead so many years ago now. They were both so young then. And in love? No, not that. But something. Crane heard a giggle from above. He looked up. She sat on the highest branch, her hand over her mouth to stop from laughing out loud. Crane gripped the first branch to start climbing. "No, wait," Sally said. "Burn the letter." Crane studied the old paper and said softly, "Burn it?" He then looked up again. "What do you mean burn it? Why?" Sally just repeated herself. "Burn it, Crane. We're starting new." Crane turned all around, looking at the ground for a dropped lighter or box of safety matches, but found nothing. The park was too damn clean. Not a single piece of litter anywhere. Sally said, "Burn it, then come and see me. I'll be waiting." Crane looked back to the top of the tree and found no one there. The second lady was running to the main street. He bought a lighter at the convenience store, giving much too much money, and ran back out the door. He reached the tree and clicked the lighter. It flew out of his hands behind the tree. Sally's voice came from above. "Hurry! I can't stay much longer." Crane found the lighter in the grass, lit the ladder, but it blew out quicker than the flame could take hold. He found a scattering of dry twigs and small branches and made a little teepee like he and Sally had done when they had gone camping. The ladder took to flame within the protective space of the twigs, quickly rose into an orange heat. Crane climbed the tree like he was 16 again and reached the topmost branches. Smoke rose from below. He looked down, but Sally took hold of his chin and lifted it up. "They let me go. I had to promise to bring you. Now I can be free, and it's your turn." "What do you mean?" Crane could not help but smile, although confused. He did not care. He was with Sally again. "I was going to be cured after the operation. Why did you do it?" Sally said, her smile gone. The smoke was so thick it was getting hard to breathe. "You rolled me off the platform and into the path of the train. I was going to get better, but you wouldn't be gone. Why?" Crane was about to ask what the hell she was talking about, but then thought on it harder and did remember her in the wheelchair. He also remembered letting it go for a moment so he could check his phone. The chair had then rolled forward. He'd seen it go, and let it go, deciding in that moment not to reach out and stop it. Sally had screamed, and then the train had collided with her as she went over the edge. He had cried and not been able to stop until he had slept later that night. Everyone had believed him that he had not seen Sally go, and so had not been able to stop her from being killed. "I'm so sorry, Sally. I wanted you to be well. You were sick. I don't know. What if you didn't get better? What if you had to suffer?" The smoke filled Crane's lungs, his vision blurred with a strange dizziness. "You have to go now, Crane. You were wrong. You know that, right?" Crane nodded his head. Sally touched his shoulder and rubbed it to soothe him. He smiled into the hazy smoke, glad she was here, even if it was totally crazy that she could exist again. He had not wanted her to die, but seeing her so sick was not right. Sally shoved Crane backwards and off the branch. Crane fell through the air. The cloudy mist whipped past him. He breathed in the smoke and coughed while tumbling through the air. Sally stood next to the growing flames and rising smoke. Crane smiled at her as he flew down towards her. She was alive, and she was real. He was not crazy. So beautiful. The ground met Crane's fragile body, and his neck snapped on a large exposed root.